Good evening, and welcome to the North Rock School Board meeting where the proud superintendent is Dr. Gregory Pileski. At this time, we are open for public comments, and public comments will only be allowed 3 minutes. And with the consent of the board, you can perhaps speak longer. But today we have 5 people who are speaking, and again, it is timed, and you will hear it, the buzzer when it goes off. So again, thank you for coming. And the first person coming today is Miss Amy Freeman. Come on down.
Thank y'all. Hello, members of the board and Dr. Oh, I can do that. Don't start my 3 minutes yet. Hello, members of the board and Dr. Pileski. My name is Amy Friedman, and I believe most people here tonight share the same feelings I have. I'm the mother to 2 North Little Rock School District students, served 2 years as PTA president, and 3 years so far as a substitute teacher. I have volunteered hundreds of hours in this school district and consider many of the teachers in the school district family. We have had the best experience with our teachers. In fact, I have emailed Dr. Pileski, Dr. Hooper, and Ms. Lightfoot several times about the exceptional quality of teachers we have. I feel privileged to be able to take such an active role in my child's school and have developed close personal relationships with many of the teachers that have and will teach my children. As you know, we have lost over 100 teachers since January 1st, which is a major problem. We have also lost hundreds of students because of this. Hundreds. That means you're losing thousands and thousands of dollars. You're also losing dozens of amazing families that can bring so much value to the school district. It terrifies me to think that this school district is spiraling towards failure. I know you have heard many complaints about this, but I believe many of the teachers don't feel seen or heard. They feel intimidated, micromanaged, and scared to speak up and tell you, the board, Dr. Pileski, and the administration their wants, needs, and suggestions. As PTA president, one of my biggest pet peeves was when parents called, texted, or approached me with complaints and never offered solutions. I'm here to offer you 2. Number 1, use me. Let me work on your behalf to be your teacher liaison between the teachers and the board. I'm offering this to you as a volunteer. Let me be the one the teachers can come to anonymously with their wants, needs, complaints, and suggestions without fear of retaliation. I can bring these conversations back to the leadership. This is a great opportunity to improve morale to teachers and receive honest feedback regarding their concerns. Number 2. There are 37 certified or secondary open positions in the district, and there are 32 administrators. It is the job of a manager or boss to pick up the slack when their team is behind. 32 administrators should fill these positions until they can be filled with a certified teacher who applies for this position. There are enough administrators to fill almost every single open position. It would also give the administrators better insight into the challenges that our teachers face on a daily basis. This could solve our crisis tonight. Please consider my offer and my suggestion. Thank you for listening.
Thank
Madam
you.
President,
Yes.
can I get her name? I'm sorry. Apologize about being late.
Amy Freeman.
There's a list, Tracy.
You have a list?
Yes. There's a list.
Okay. At this time, we will have Kimberly, Kimbla Newsom. Okay.
Good evening, board members. My name is Dr. Kimbla Newsom, and I am one of the E4 Community Advisory Board meeting members for the 7th Street Elementary School. Myself and other members are here today. We're here, first to let you all know that we're committed to helping the school district get to better outcomes for the young people at 7th Street Elementary. These young people deserve a quality education, and they deserve to get the resources that are needed to get to that quality education. As E4 community member, volunteer members, we have met with school officials at 7th Street Elementary, and they have shared with us the themes that the school is considering to come aboard for this school year. This advisory board has expressed some concerns with some of the themes that have been selected. Is it in the best interest of the young people from this community? Is it going to meet the needs? Are we going to be able to get grades up to where they need to be with some of the things that are being considered for 7th Street Elementary School? And we feel that yes, we were brought to the table as volunteers to come and discuss this, but are we really a part of the decision-making process that is happening with the 7th Street Elementary School? And we, again, are committed to the process, but we do feel like that the school is not being very transparent in what it is it's doing. And we really want to make sure that these young people start to improve on their outcomes and get what they need at the school. And so we did have an opportunity to meet with the new principal on yesterday, and we were happy for that opportunity to meet with her. And she did have some discussion with us, and we are committed to supporting her as she moves forward in a positive direction. But we do feel that the transparency is not there, and we do not want to come to the meeting just to sign in that there is a advisory board, and we're not really taking into consideration what it is. We as partners, we're boots on the ground with these kids. We have family members that have children at this school. We go to church in this community with these people. We have pastors on this advisory board. We have people that have volunteered at the school. So we work closely with these young people, and we feel that our voice should be heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John McClellan. My name is on the list. I wasn't really prepared to speak tonight, and I'm not the most polished speaker, as most of you have seen in the past. But we went for a meeting yesterday on very short notice for the advisory board, and we had a low turnout, and administration, as I would call it, was not present. The principal and 5 attendees were there. That's all that was there. And it was announced the curriculum of the school, which a lot of the people that were present, jaw dropped open because that wasn't what they felt was going to take place. So I'm just concerned, and I wish that someone was there to introduce our new principal to us, to show support for her, and I just I want the best for these kids, and so we're here, and 7th Street's here. We're not going nowhere. We're here to support the kids. We need your help, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Jimmy Caven.
Ms. Welcome, you might want to call the Department of Justice or FBI, because there seems to be a room full of terrorists right here. Greg, I'm going to read you an email I sent you and the board on June 29th. I've attached your Executive Director of Elementary School Performance, Tracy Lightfoot's current license, employee contract, and job description. As you can clearly see, Ms. Lightfoot is not licensed for the position she's in. Her licensure code 276 is for building level.
Mr. Caven.
I'm going to stop the clock.
You are not allowed to use personnel.
Yes, ma'am. This is an open public
right.
forum, and I
It
have
may
First
be
Amendment
open,
rights.
but
This
there
is
is
public
a law.
record.
Okay.
You can call Jay Beckett, and he's going to back me up on this.
Mr. Caven,
You're going to violate my civil rights, and I'm going to sue you.
I just ask you not to use personnel.
No, ma'am, I'm gonna
names
continue.
or anything, okay?
Okay, thank you, but I'm going to continue. To perform her current job duties, she would need a district administrator license such as 277 District Administrator P12, which is stated requirement in her job description. What is also very disturbing is that Ms. Lightfoot began her career with the district in current capacity July 1st, 2022. She had no license at all and did not obtain one until 11 months later on May 22nd of this year. For Ms. Lightfoot to perform her duties, she and the district would need to apply for and granted an ALP waiver from the ADE while she's enrolled in and taking courses to obtain proper licensure. Just like Amy Jordan Executive Director of Secondary School Performance, is currently doing. I would also point out Ms. Lightfoot, working 11 months without any type of license, along with not being properly licensed for the position she holds, is a violation of standards 2 and 3 in Code of Ethics for Arkansas educators. As a superintendent, you are responsible for recommending qualified applicants to the school board for hire. In Ms. Lightfoot's case, you clearly failed, which draws into question the administrative hires on your watch. You have not only put someone in charge of elementary schools who is not qualified, you've also put Ms. Lightfoot in a supervisory and elevator position over elementary administrators when she's not qualified to do that. As a patron of the North Little Rock School District, I would like you to explain why you failed to put someone qualified in such a crucial role, while 75% of the students at the North Little Rock School District cannot read at grade level. Well, of course, you never responded because you were caught. Now, since you and Lightfoot got caught, a waiver was applied for and granted by the AD, but where's the accountability for your unethical and unlawful actions? Where's Ms. Lightfoot's accountability? Where's HR Director Jacob Smith's accountability?
Mr.
When
Caven,
students commit, I'm going to finish
your
because you
time
interrupted me.
is up.
Commit major violation
Your time
rules,
is
they are
up,
suspended
Mr.
and
Caven.
expelled.
Please
when
take
you
your
violate
seat.
policy and ethics and laws,
The
you get a
officer
raise
can
and a
escort
bonus.
you out of here.
At the end of the day, the real accountability lies with each of you
officer,
board members, because you
Come
allowed Greg
and
to
remove
operate this
Mr.
way.
Caven. He
You
can
have
stay
all
in
become
here,
his Kool-Aid
but his
addicts.
time
Find a
is
recovery
up.
program and get
Thank
help.
you. Thank you. Mr. John
He came before.
Oh, you spoken, okay. Miss Laura Deal?
Hello. I wasn't totally planning on speaking either, but I just kind of heard a rumor that I have some concerns regarding. I have an 8th grader that is going into 9th grade. She had was planning on trying out for the 9th grade team last year, went to the whole clinic, and was told that Tuesday that they were not going to have a 9th grade team because there were not enough children to try out. So she ended up having to try out for the varsity team. Was just told while sitting here that our 8th grade team might be possibly cheering for our 9th grade team. That really upsets me because my daughter would like to have truly been a part of our 9th grade cheer team. I don't understand why there are not other tryouts still occurring for these 9th graders that wanted to be a part of the cheer team, or why we didn't look into advertising it more and trying to get more to try out. But I'd just like to know what is going on with that. I have a daughter that just graduated and was on our varsity team all 4 years. We chose North Little Rock because it gave her the opportunity to do all the sports she wanted to play. She was track, soccer, cheer, and tennis all 4 years. And y'all gave her this opportunity, and I would like the same opportunity for my incoming 9th grader. Thank you.
Thank you. We have had a sign-in sheet that was out front for anyone to sign it. But as a board, members of the board, I have no problems if there is anyone else who has a public comment. Anyone else? Do you have a public comment? Anyone else? Public comments. Thank you. And I would like to remind you that the board will certainly address any issue that is heard, but we do not respond during this time. But anything that was presented to us, it shall be addressed. And I thank you, those of you that spoke, thank you for your time and for coming. We appreciate you. At this time, we are now open officially call this meeting to order. Okay. Invocation. Dr. Redis?
Bow your heads, please. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for this day that we've never seen before and we'll never see again. Thank you for everything that you've already done, everything that you're going to do, and everything that, again, that you've already done. Guide us as we make decisions tonight. Let us make sure that we stay focused on the vision and the mission of this district. Bless everyone that's here. When we depart from this place, give us all traveling grace and mercy on our ways home. We ask all these things in your darling son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
May we stand? Pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Mrs. McLean, would you please give us the vision and mission statement?
The vision is world-class schools for world-class students, and the mission is the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Ms. Copeland, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Dr. Reddish?
Here.
Mrs. McLean?
Here.
Mrs. Temple?
Here.
Ms. Person West?
Present.
Here.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, Section 6, recognition of people, events, and programs. We do not have any recognitions at this time. We usually do not do that in the summer, but we will pick that back up next month in August.
At this time, we are prepared for executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Rock School Board Policy 114A, stating that private or closed discussion by the board may occur as part of the regular or special board meetings. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in a public session and presents the items of vote of the membership. Further, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106.2C states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive closed session for discussion of the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee. Dr. Polutsky.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the next section is Section 8, Board Member and Superintendent Involvement. 8.1 is Board Member Involvement. Madam President.
Okay, Mr. Still?
Board member involvement.
Yes.
Had a great conference in Hot Springs. I thought a lot of good information was there. Impressed with all the people very impressed with all the people who came to Arkansas from Louisiana and Mississippi. When you look to what's going on, everybody's having a tough time economically, but struggles with changes in schools. And most everybody I talked to was experiencing enrollment declines. So we certainly are not by ourselves, but I think there was a lot of good information there in Hot Springs to kind of help move us forward.
Thank you. Mrs. McClay?
I was on stage with Dr. Paluski and some administrators and board members for the North Little Rock High School summer graduation of our students, and that was awesome. That's the first time we've done it, and I hope we continue to do that each summer. That was great. I mean, there were family members and friends there that were happy people. So I attended a workshop at the Arkansas School Board Association. I also went to the Southern Regional Leadership Conference that Mr. Steele just referenced, and you might wonder what kind of sessions we attend, and just to name a few, there were like student outcomes, board governance, making student learning priority in your district. But of course, there was a lot of emphasis on school safety, and I just want to laud Dr. Paluski and Chief Finks for all that they've done, all the security measures that have been put in place for our district to keep our precious students and staff safe. And then it was stressed, you know, how we have to continue to be vigilant about making sure that we follow all the procedures that are in place so that we can keep the students and staff safe.
Mrs. Walker?
And I too attended the Hot Springs Conference and the summer graduation.
Okay. Dr. Redis?
I attended the summer graduation. I love graduation, so of course I was going to attend it. I also went to the South Central Conference in Hot Springs. It was really good. It was like being at a revival, remembering stuff. And I also had the opportunity with Dr. Paluski to present at the new school board member boot camp. And we did a presentation on school governance, school board governance, and it was communication and how to communicate between the school board and superintendent.
Okay.
And I was unable to attend. I'm sorry I missed it.
Okay. Ms. Parsons-West?
Graduation, I had a chance to stop by, and the conference this past week, and it was really informative. And like Ms. McLean, I really enjoy listening about safety and security, and to see what is coming, or what is the trend, or what's what people are in other areas are seeing that maybe we can bring back and learn from here, but learn from to be proactive. I keep a picture on my phone. It's this one little girl that's holding up a poster board that says Uvalde had one door open.
Okay.
And I remember that, and I'm getting chills on my arm now, but I always remember that when we have conversation about safety and security, and this is just starting into a new year, to remind our staff, our administrators, our teachers, parents, about leaving doors open and being mindful of that each day, each time, because we do not want to be in that situation where it's just one door open. And had an opportunity to get some very good information as far as how it can benefit us and help us on the school board, and as far as, you know, making sure that in everything you just leave with love, leave with an open mind and open ears and an open heart.
Thank you. My attendance for involvement was learning to have hard conversations about employees' performances and the discipline. And Mrs. McLean and I attend that. And also we attended the high school graduation. We had 11 students to graduate, and it was phenomenal. And again, I hope they continue to do that. It was simply awesome. And then on the other, we had, I did attend Hot Springs. Learning one thing for teachers or administrators is one thing: keep your doors locked. Keep your doors locked. They couldn't express that enough to us because of all the killings that have happened in schools. Keeping the doors locked. And they encouraged us, which we had never done before, that when you have your public school board meetings, you never know the attitude or the perceptions that people have. And he gave one example that a man had come to a meeting to kill all the school board meetings, but because they had that little machine out there, that's what saved them. And these are things that they pressured on us. But I'm grateful to all of you that came in tonight, and we thank you for being who you are and what you are. And Dr. Paluski, it is now on you to tell us what you've been doing.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go very quickly. June 21st, we had the opportunity again, and Mr. Smith's going to talk about this, our internal job fair at the high school. On June 22nd, I attended with Dr. Redis. This is a phenomenal opportunity with ASBA to meet with new school board members, talking about the roles and responsibility, talking about communication protocols. That was a wonderful opportunity. On July 10th, I had the opportunity with Mr. Nannon to attend the ADE Summit in Hot Springs. We often talk about physical security, but a topic that we don't often talk about, which is very hot today, is cybersecurity. And there's lots that the school district is doing to protect your child's data, your child's information, and our employees' data as well. You're seeing this phenomenon go across the United States where there's attacks happening in school districts and sensitive information is being put out there, but I want the public to know how seriously we take cybersecurity as well. I also have been spending time meeting with predominant members of our community and listening. I know the concerns that have been brought up here today. I've recently met with longtime educator Lee Tackett. I met with longtime parent Mr. Chris Keeling. We had a wonderful conversation. I got to understand more. I recently met with Judge Paula Jones and had a wonderful conversation and had an understand of what they're hearing in our community so that we can address these concerns, make sure everybody has the same information, because we want this school system to be the best. And I want our community to know that we are listening and that we are paying attention. And we always teach in our group is that feedback is your friend. You always have to take feedback. That's the only way you can improve. So I want the community to know that. This last week, we kicked off our Leadership Institute last Thursday and Friday. This is where we bring all of our administrators back as we start the new school year. We spent the first 2 days on safety and security. There is a lot that is happening to keep your child safe every single day in our school district. We are crisis planning. You'll see, matter of fact, if you take a look in the back of the room, you're going to see the new security uniforms for our security officers, our campus supervisor. That goes away. We'll share a lot of that in our back to school report, but I want you to know that safety is our number one priority, and high levels of teaching and learning is just simply the expectation. And that every single day we're making sure that we keep your child safe and we keep you as an employee safe. There's data that's out there every single day on the number of mass shootings in the United States. I think right now we're approaching almost 400. From a national standpoint, it is also projected we could double last year's number. I want you to know that's how serious that we take safety and security. So please have that conversation with your child. You know, if somebody's coming to the back door, don't open a door for anything. Please help us as we continue our work on Stop the Prop, those kinds of things to keep your child and your employee safe. This past week, we've been working on some changes that are coming down from the LEARNS Act. There's new standards that are coming from the State Department, which is a good thing. They're going to be more clear for our teachers. There's a new assessment called Atlas that now the assessment we give is actually going to be aligned to the standards that we teach. These are all going to be great things for our teachers. And then, you know, other areas of the operation as well. So we've had a great 3 days. I concur about summer graduation. I want to take a moment to recognize Dr. Nadia St. Louis. She brought this to us. We were never having a summer school graduation. This is the second year we've done that. We need to be recognizing our summer graduates just as we do. We were all there. We were all dressed just like it was. So I'm very proud of her for bringing that to us. And we're less than 20 days from opening school. So it's coming fast.
Thank you. Dr. Pelosi?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Mr. Steele, do you have a reporter on the legislative update?
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief. As the superintendent said, we're starting to see more details kind of filter down to the school level regarding the LEARNS Act. It is still presently being held up in the judicial system. That's just going to be something that's going to take time. There is an urgency, and the Attorney General is pushing for that to happen before school starts. Who knows? That's going to be very challenging. And what's going to be even more challenging if it gets resolved and it's implemented during school year. So we will have to do a lot of work. We'll have to go ahead and continue to do our due diligence as if it passed. That's what I would recommend for this school board. You can always retreat, but sometimes it's difficult to move forward if you don't have things in place. So at some point, I think we will have to deal with the LEARNS Act, and the more ready we are, the better our school system can move forward.
Thank you. Dr. Pilecki.
Yes, ma'am. The next item up is item 10, our CPPC monthly report and LPPC monthly report. Mr. Smith, I do not believe there is a report at this time.
Okay. We can move into the informational items.
Yes, ma'am. The first information item is the 2023-2024 school board data presentation schedule. I don't know if Mrs. McNulty, we're going to kind of tag team this. You know that we've always been data-driven in our focus of our school board meetings. One of the things the school board was recognized for was our shift in our focus of looking at and driving the decisions that we make based upon our academic data. So what Mrs. McNulty has done is just simply a draft document that every single one of our regular board meetings we will be presenting on specific data. Also, the board at any single time, if you want us something that is of interest to you that you want to take a look at. And I'll also refer to the superintendent's goals and which are going to be voted on here shortly. This is just simply just a rough sketch of knowing where we're going, of what data points as we get into the school year, when we get into looking at the end of the first quarter, looking at discipline, those kinds of things. Tonight, and I'll go very quickly because this is on the information, or this is on the action item. We presented this the last time at our school board meeting. I do not believe the school board wants me to run through all this. This is out in public, but just to reiterate our two areas of focus, goal number one is rigorous, relevant, and innovative learning, a theme that emerged after the 100-day transition plan. These are now metrics or targets that we want to set as we look to accomplishing them by 2026. So if you look at this document, it shows where we are in our current data, and it shows where we want to be over the next 3 years, and so we can chunk that data out. It goes everything from looking at our youngest learners. Our goal is to make sure that every child by the end of second grade can read and compute. We know in the achievement gap in the school district has to start early, and closing that with the change in the assessment as it relates to reading and mathematics, grades 3 through 10, looking at high school indicators such as grade point average, looking at ACT score, those kinds of things, industry certification, and last, our work around student athletes and looking at our student athletes and how do we support our student athletes in gaining access if they choose to go on to college, that they're eligible to be able to do that. The second goal is our safe, supportive, and learning goal. This looks at everything from attendance. It looks at discipline. It looks at suspensions. It looks at fighting. and also our culture and climate. So we just wanted to give that high-level overview of just an information item, just to give you and the public that every time you're going to see Mrs. McNulty at a regular board meeting specifically talking about these data points. And again, we're welcome for any feedback if there's some data that is not here that we're always willing to share. That is the information item.
Board members, did you have any questions? If not, thank you. Very nice.
Thank
report.
you. Thank
Good
you,
job,
Dr.
Mrs.
Paluski.
McNulty.
That was great. I mean, that tag team, and I love it. So, thank you.
She's awesome. The next information item is 11.2. This is Rock Region Metro Fair Agreement, and I'll ask my dear colleague and friend, Mr. Avery from Rock Region Metro. We have this on the board agenda as an information and an action item. Just to give Mr. Avery a couple minutes here, background for our public that we came, matter of fact, Ms. Person West was one of the ones that started this conversation about, hey, Little Rock has this agreement where children can use public transit provided free. Sometimes in our community, transportation can be a barrier. And this is an opportunity for us. So Mr. Avery and the board asked for some data, and so we just wanted to refresh everybody's memory and then ask any questions, and then we'll ask technically why it's on here twice. There's a fiscal requirement of this of $4,000 in the first year, $8,000 in the second, and anything over $20,000 has to be voted on the board, but we just thought this way it could come back for a board to vote, even though you don't have to fiscally vote on it, but we want it anyways. Mr. Avery, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Paluski, and thank you, board members, for having me today. You can turn your attention to the screen there just for a quick, brief update on kind of our discussions I've been having with Dr. Paluski over the past couple of months here. Can y'all hear me? There it is.
Yeah,
Got to get close. Got to get close. Okay. As you recall, I was here probably four or 5 months ago to talk about this amazing partnership opportunity between Rock Region Metro and North Little Rock School District to have your high school students and the students that attend North Little Rock Academy to ride our bus system and our microtransit system fare free. How that works is the school district will pay a flat monthly fee to Rock Region Metro, and we will provide some security stickers to the staff here at North Little Rock School District to put on your students' student ID, which will allow them to board our buses and our microtransit vans fare free. I think this is a great opportunity, as Dr. Paluski talked about, to break down some barriers related to transportation, and ultimately it provides significant access to opportunities for these students. Significant access to opportunities year-around too, not just during the school year. They'll be able to travel throughout our system if they have a job, or if they just want to go to the movies or go see their friend or just get out of the house away from their parents. All of those, I understand that. But just a quick update here. Again, I always want to start off anytime I talk with board members about what our mission statement is, and that is to provide safe, reliable, convenient, and cost-effective transit service with a skilled team of employees dedicated to our customers' needs and committed to excellence. This is a map of just the North Little Rock bus routes that we have in our microtransit zones. You can see the zones there up in Levy, Amboy area, over at McCalmont, and then the shorter Dixie area. One thing to point out here, we're looking at expanding our microtransit service to the Rose City area, where the North Little Rock Academy is currently placed. The main route of transportation most of these students will use will be one of our highest ridership routes, the 10 route in McCain. And I'm not going to steal Dr. Paluski's thunder here. I'll let him talk about the survey that he conducted with parents and students just to see the interest that was out there. But it is important to point out, like he did, that we are so confident that this is going to be successful that we are looking to provide a 50% discount for year one to provide this service. A couple of reasons for that. Sometimes it takes some time to kind of kick off to get these students engaged and understand how to ride our systems and the benefits of that. But I think ultimately it allows us to extend this to a couple of years to see the true impact in the community. Right now, I'll pass it over to Dr. Paluski if he kind of wants to talk about those survey results that he conducted.
Sure. If you remember, one of the things the board asked is, so would our students use it? And so Mr. Bourne sent out a survey, I think not long after the last board meeting. And so you can see there that 60% of our high school students, 9 through 12, said yes if this was provided to me. And then nearly 50% of our parents said, yes, that would be, a wonderful idea. Is it 100%? No. Although I did talk to one parent that their child drives, and I thought this was a really good comment. She says, what I like about this is if my child may be in a dangerous situation, needs to get out of it, and they don't have their own transportation, this is an avenue. It's just another different way of looking at providing equal access. So those are the results the board had asked for, but you can see there's from our student body there's support for it, over the majority of support.
And I would consider that overwhelming majority support. That is a significant number of students to say that they were interested in using a free bus pass. And we're excited about this partnership. We're excited to get it started August 1st. My team will get in contact with Dr. Paluski's team to ensure that we have those stickers readily available before the school year starts. And if they're, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, so what every school year, our high school students, they get an ID badge, a 9th grade badge, a 10th grade badge, 11th grade badge. So the notion is when they get their ID for this year, on the back would be a color-coded. Did you want to talk about the color code? Why there's a color code for first semester and a color code for second semester?
Exactly. This is a way we kind of enforce fare evasion to ensure that we're not passing around student IDs for a friend to ride for free who may not be a part of the North Little Rock School District or other issues like that. But this security sticker will be tamper-proof. That means if you try to remove it, it will not stick to anything again. We'll give you, again, the number of stickers that are required to cover all students. And again, I'm excited to get this partnership started.
And the other thing I wanted to add, and Ms. McLean asked me the other day some really good questions, which was, is the school district liable? We are liable for school property. Once a child leaves school property, then the school district is not liable. She had another great question is, what happens if I'm a parent and this is provided, but I don't want it? Certainly parents would have the option to opt out, just like we do with photography. We have to have permission for your child to take a photograph. You have that option. We do that on online registry. So if a parent is just adamant, I don't want my child to have it, we're not going to force it. But we do want to provide it to everyone that wants it.
Absolutely.
Okay. At this time, Board Member Steele.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excited about the partnership, but just really want to clarify, it's not really free, right?
Well,
no,
it's free to the students.
It's free to the students, but actually we, the taxpayers, are paying.
But I do want to point out it is heavily subsidized. So the way we set up this partnership and the way we set up all of our partnerships, my board members have decided that we can accept a reduced rate per ride that we project from each partnership. That is 50% below what we typically get per ride from our customers out there in the public. So again, this is a heavily subsidized fare agreement, like all of our fare agreements are.
What are the hours?
The hours we run, of course, Monday through Sunday, and it varies weekdays. Weekdays, you're probably looking 6 to 7 p.m. And then weekends, you're looking more 8 to 5 for right now. We're still in a reduced COVID service era due to shortages in our CDL operators, but we hope to get that fixed by the end of the year to be able to expand that service that we anticipated back in 2020.
Will this include also the smaller metro vans?
Absolutely. Those microtransit vans, and I'll just point you back to these microtransit zones where those services are located. They'll be able to travel throughout those zones.
Very good.
As well as our fixed route. And, of course, our streetcar is free, but that is included in this fare agreement, too, also.
Thank you.
Ms. McLean?
I think Dr. Paluski just mentioned the questions that I had and got answers. The only other one is where are we getting the $4,000?
Sure, this would be out of operating. So every year Mr. Brown comes to you with about a transfer of funds that we haven't spent down or attrition, those kinds of things. When we do our budget stuff, where stuff fluctuates all the time, where we're underspending in a category. It's $4,000 in a $110 million budget. But operating is where it comes from.
So, Mr. Brown, we can do that? Okay.
So just for the public to know, our student demographics here in the North Little Rock School District is 57% African American, 25% Caucasian, 11% Hispanic, and 7% other. The North Little Rock poverty level is at 23.9%, and the national average is 12.8%. So I support this.
Okay. Dr. Riddick?
Just a question we had talked about, excuse me, because it's for 9th through 12th, correct? If they have a sibling, their sibling would be able to ride with them?
No, ma'am. If they were in 9th through 12th grade, they would be able to ride with them, but only the individuals that are eligible under this current program would be able to ride. 9th through 12th into North Little Rock Academy.
Ms. Temple?
I don't remember the answer to this, but there's no way we're going to be able to keep up with who's riding and who's not, right?
We will, yes. We'll provide monthly ridership reports. Our fare boxes calculate each time. So the way that this will work, as a student, you'll come on the board, you'll flash your ID with the valid sticker, and we'll hit a special code on our fare box that will count that as a ride. And just like with all of our fare agreements, we'll be able to provide a ridership report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. West?
I love it. I'm for it. I've communicated with several students at the academy and also at the high school that would definitely benefit from it, to go to work and to grocery shop for their families. So it's definitely a need for it. And just because maybe it won't affect your household, it may affect somebody else's, and we're in the business of making sure that everybody is accommodated.
Okay. And thank you for your data to doing what the board had asked you to do to find out if students were interested and if parents agreed to it, because that's our stakeholders are the most important, that they make the final decision on decisions that we make. And Dr. Paluski, did you have any more?
No, ma'am. We will bring this back. I appreciate Mr. Avery coming tonight and putting the presentation together. We'll just bring it during our action item for an official vote.
Okay, and the reason you are able to bring it back tonight down here in the next session because you presented it at a workshop previously, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, President Williams. Thank you, Dr. Pelosi.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Avery.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the next information item is 11.3, Human Resources License Staffing Data. I welcome my colleague, Mr. Jacob Smith, who is the Executive Director of Human Resources. We know we've heard a lot in the community of concerns about teachers leaving. Are we going to be staffed at the beginning of the school year? So we wanted to provide a high-level overview of some data and some context as to where we are currently and what things that we're putting in place or continue to put in place to not only retain our high-quality workforce, but continue to recruit a high-quality workforce. Mr. Smith, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Paluski, Madam President, members of the board, and all the community members present. So as Dr. Paluski has already stated, we're going to talk about licensed staff, which is anybody that holds an educator license within the state of Arkansas and functions in some role or capacity that requires that. So the purpose of this presentation is to share with the North Little Rock School Board and the community regarding licensed staff trend data in order to prepare for the 2022 or 2023-2024 school year and beyond. So I don't think in our post-COVID society and post-COVID education system that anybody would argue that education's changed. It's variable all over the United States, and everywhere there has been issues as far as a national shortage in regards to educators. Individuals will go through different aspects of where those individuals are going and why. But as of February 2023, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics as put out by CNN, there is 150,000 more job openings than hires in regards to the education field. As we delve into Arkansas, Arkansas is no different than any other state. Everybody's struggling with it. We are in the geographic shortage area of Pulaski County. And so if you will look, the following co-op regions have been identified as geographic shortage areas. 1/3 of total teachers fall into total demand categories of unlicensed, retired or T-dropped, or eligible to retire. And as you can see, the fourth bullet down, Pulaski County Schools is 37% in total demand in regards to that statistic. That is where North Little Rock finds themselves in that co-op region. Arkansas statewide subject shortage areas. This again is no different than whenever I've been in the classroom before I moved into the position I'm now in. We have always, as a state, struggled with these positions that are being listed. Again, it's 1/3 of teachers that are in these subject areas fall into total demand categories of unlicensed, retired in the T-drop, eligible to retire, or deceased statewide. And those are foreign language, secondary English language arts, secondary mathematics, secondary science, secondary social studies, and special education. So these are considered all high need fields as determined by the U.S. Department of Ed and the Department of Education. So why are teachers leaving? There is a bunch of trains of thought. But as you dive into the research, these are the highlights that come out more oftentimes than not. And so there has been conversations about inadequate teacher preparation programs. So at our institutions, individuals are not preparing teachers for a post-COVID student, a post-COVID education system, and they are coming out, they are attempting to do the job, and they find that they are unequipped to do that in their capacity as it sits. Lack of mentoring or support was one of the reasons listed as well. And so it's very vital for a district to put in mentoring and support services for their staff. With all of that being said, as things are changing, things are progressing, everybody's fighting to be staffed, everybody's fighting to start school, we're all doing these things all the time. We have to be careful that we are not allowing our new teachers to be thrown to the wolves. We have to have a support system in place. We have to have our experienced teachers teaching them methods and ways to accomplish the job successfully, and we need to be monitoring those things as well. Work conditions, COVID-19, stress, burnout, and beyond. I mean, it all kind of alludes to the points that I was just saying, is education's different. The individual from the generation that is now within the teacher workforce is different. The students we have are different. We have different problems. We have words like social emotional needs that are arising to the top. Programs are trying to roll out individuals that are equipped to handle all of these things, where a teacher's always been required to wear 100 different hats. Now we're asking them to wear 200 or 300 and use all these different mechanisms in order to reach students on different levels and planes. Other career opportunities. That's a big conversation as well. So whenever we went virtual and COVID-19 happened, individuals started asking the question. I mean, traditionally, teaching has been a linear field. You start out at 22, 23 years old being an educator, and you retire at 55, 60, 65 years old being an educator. Well, whenever COVID-19 happened, it allowed for individuals to take a step back. Whenever everybody came in, back into the classroom after COVID-19, there were conversations within individuals, and teachers are in high demand in every field. There is a capacity there to educate individuals that spans multiple different fields, and individuals are seeing that need exists, and they are accepting individuals into those realms, and so people are doing that. Personal reasons, it's always listed. You've got health within your family, you've got husband gets a promotion, wife gets a promotion, the individual moves with the family, they decide to stay home with the kids, all sorts of different aspects. The generational piece also folds into the highly mobile workforce. Whereas 20 years ago, the average individual maybe had 1, 2, 3 jobs within the course of their life, now you're seeing this generation has 8, 9, 10. It's not difficult for them to, at a drop of a hat, pick up. They want to vacation during the summer while they're surfing, and then in the winter they want to be snow skiing. And so they're choosing lifestyles and careers that are virtual, allow them to do those types of things, and they're willing to sacrifice the other aspects of it so that they can do that. Economic factors. It's never been a secret that educators as a whole are an underpaid occupation. I mean, whenever you look at it across the nation, we just went through the aspects of LEARNs, and so everybody has pivoted to a $50,000 starting salary, but because we were so far behind, other fields are still much more competitive. And so whenever you look at that 4-year degree and you're looking at what to do whenever you go off to a higher ed institution, teaching is still one of those things that it's a calling, because there are other 4-year degrees that you can walk out making almost double whenever you graduate from the doors of a higher institution. New vision, mission, and direction of the institution. So this wasn't included, but this is a natural piece. Dr. Paluski always educates us on John Cotter and the 8 steps to change. With every transformation within any sort of institution, there is, of course, individuals that might not be on board with the new mission vision. It's not that there's any sort of animosity or negativity between it, but it's just the new mission and vision and direction might not fit what that individual views as a place where they want to work at. And so with that being said, we have individuals that exit because of those reasons as well. Licensed staff turnover trend data. So my position, I started in January of 2020, and that is what I can speak to in regards to the data that has been tracked. So since I've been here, we have tracked this data. And so in the 2020-2021 school year, we had 131 licensed retirements or resignations from 7/1/20, which is for the public, that is the start of our fiscal year, and it goes to 6/30/2021. And that is how you will see the dates will be listed from now on for each year that we track. And like I said, that's our financial fiscal year. 2021-2022 was 143 licensed retirements and resignations, And then in 2022-2023, it was 142 licensed resignations or retirements. And we have now started our 23-24 list because 7/1/2023 has now started, and so we are now tracking that data going forward. Prior to this, I can't speak to, but the information from my understanding was not accurately tracked to the point in which I could communicate it to the board in public.
Mr. Smith, may I ask one question?
You may.
Just, could you, for the public as well as the board, describe when you arrived and the importance of signed contracts, and how signed contracts are tied into retention, and what that year one looked like when you arrived? Because that does tie into this data.
Yes, sir. So prior to my arrival, and even whenever I worked in North Little Rock as an assistant principal, it was very common. We were on a paper contract system. The first thing I did whenever I walked into my position is both finance and myself and my department, we got together, and it behooves a district to put out their contracts in a timely fashion. There are policies and laws associated with when those things have to be signed, and through my tenure and Dr. Paluski's tenure, we have put in a system to where our employees are very familiar with our timelines, when they have to sign a contract by, and when the last date for them to rescind a contract would be, which is, like I said, all governed by policy and law. And so we communicate that early and often, but with that, once we get past that date, we are now treating everybody the same. If an individual gets a promotion or garners something like that, we never hold individuals back, but we do not allow what I call an apples-to-apples trade. If you want to go be a teacher somewhere else, we have you locked into a teaching contract here. We would not allow you to rescind your contract for a reason such as that. Prior to my arrival, what really transpired is individuals were allowed to leave at will because our licensed staff did not receive their paper contract until, I remember, November, December seemed to be the time of the year that you were working. So if our year starts July 1, contracts were not got out or were not received by employees for signature until that November, December date. And so Up until then, contract law, as everybody understands with a mortgage or anything of the sort, it is somebody that is signing to perform a duty, and it is the institution or entity saying that they are going to pay you a certain wage for that duty. Well, with no signed contract, there is no ability of the institution to enforce the hold of the employee or require them to perform their duties as would whenever they sign it. Comparison of current licensed job openings at 7A school districts as of today. So the North Little Rock School District, with the personnel report that's going to be approved by the board, we have 34 licensed vacancies, and 29 of those are teachers. That is our staff tracking report. Dr. Paluski, would you like me to communicate at each school site, much as you did last meeting?
Sure. I think for the public, just to see where the vacancies are.
Absolutely.
And just to do a quick high-level overview of that. This is more of a detailed of the 29.
Pike
Sure.
View, 1 licensed opening. 7th Street, 2 licensed opening. Boone Park, 1 licensed opening. Glenview, 3 licensed openings. Ridge Road, 4 licensed openings. Lakewood, 2 licensed openings. Indian Hills, 1. Crestwood, 3. 6th grade, 0. 7th and 8th grade, 13. The high school, 1. COE, 1. The academy, 1. And the virtual academy, 1. And that gives us our total of 34 and 29 teaching positions. There are, of course, classified positions that we have open that is available for the public to view on that staff tracking report for transparency's sake, but the purpose of the conversation today is high-quality teachers and licensed staff in the classroom. PCSSD at this current moment today has 85 licensed vacancies. Little Rock School District has 61 as far as I can count from their job board. They do post jobs a little different as district-wide positions, and so there might be multiple positions, but from their job board you cannot garner the number from the information that they have available.
So it's not site-specific.
Correct. Conway School District 24, Springdale School District 57, and Bentonville School District 41.
And those are comparable to?
Those are all 7, 8, 8.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That
So-
is based on student population. And
Gotcha.
so those are all similarly situated based on the criteria that the state puts out for student population and their categorization.
So we're not doing that bad, huh?
I don't feel as if we are, ma'am.
Okay.
So, what are we doing to address the issues and concerns? So, service stipends and tuition reimbursement to take care of your licensed staff. So we put in place last year, the board was gracious enough with the recommendation of Dr. Paluski and Brian Brown to use some of our ESSER money for a recruitment and retention stipend that totals $6,000 for all staff members over the course of 2 years, $1,500 per semester for 2 years. The 7th Street reconfiguration and transformation stipend, that is over the course of 3 years in a scaled manner, but this year is $10,000. And so that is in place for us to attract good candidates and good licensed staff for our reconfiguration and transformation of 7th Street Elementary. And then we redid our licensed tuition reimbursement policy this year with the blessing of the board and the PPC. And we brought that from a 3-year requirement to be in district to a 1-year. And so with that, we feel that these are all supports that are providing our individuals not only compensation, but means of reimbursement beyond just what their salary would cover. Teacher residency programs. This will come before the board later in the day, but August 1, with the new laws that have been passed, Act 762 or 764, I will quote it whenever we're looking at it, it's on there. But all of that being said, on August 1, there is going to be an Arkansas Aspiring Teacher Permit that is available to individuals that are in their internship phase of their teaching program. So at any institute of higher ed, you, much like a doctor, lawyer, anybody that's going into a professional career, if you're going into teaching, your last year is an internship model where you spend time on site with educators of experience, mentored educators, and you walk through prospective steps that the university assigns. Well, because of the teacher shortage and what we have discussed, Arkansas has opened this pathway, which is available in other states, but we, August 1, are going to have it available to us. And individuals in that internship part of their program can come in and be a teacher of record if they have basically done two things: a clear background check, number one, and number two, they have passed the content area exam for which they will be the teacher. So what that means is from my perspective is oftentimes under our waiver and things of that nature, people come from non-traditional methods. Well, the last hurdle individuals do from those non-traditional methods are passing the praxis. All of these individuals that would walk in under this capacity, once the MOUs are signed with those institutions, is they would already have their praxis content available. So once they complete their internship, they get their full degree, and they are full teacher, licensed, ready to go, and we have already been able to train them for an entire year under our methods and models. Teacher residency model, this is a little different. These individuals cannot be the teacher of record, but we are working on this. They work under a mentor teacher, much like we have at pre-K levels right now. There's little different rules that govern under that, but you can have an individual that is what we call a lead teacher, and somebody would function underneath the umbrella of that lead teacher as somebody that can lead instruction in a classroom. Employee career advancement programs. So as Dr. Paluski alluded earlier, we just had our Leadership Institute. We've had the discussion with everybody about building our capacity internally. NLRSD Aspiring Leaders Pathway Program, on the licensed side of the house, there's going to be one on the classified side of the house as well, but the conversation today is licensed, as we are wanting individuals to grow. We are wanting to grow them, we are wanting to build their capacity, we are wanting to cross-train, we are wanting to do all those things. So levels 1 through 4 would basically consist of 1, individuals wanting to get into the teaching field. I'm a paraprofessional, I want to be a teacher. How can we support you? How can we train you so that you're equipped for that? Then teachers that want to become APs would be level 2. APs that want to become building leaders, coordinators, things of that nature would be level 3. And then once you get to the building level, going to the district level would be level 4. And so I've seen models such as this, the pipelines, things of that nature, but we want to grow our own at North Little Rock. We've got great people that are interested in moving up, and that is what this would be a part of. The conversation from the leadership team is that this would be a preferred mechanism on our job descriptions. We would like somebody to have gone through this pathway, and it would be more heavily considered in the interview process if they had. Internal advancement, I've already touched on, but building the bench, this is what Dr. Paluski says. Our reorganizations, our different departments that we've put in place, all of these are not only support, but they're means of learning. The people we have built the bench with at North Little Rock are experts in their field, and everybody can grow from interacting with those individuals. We feel more so than they could anywhere else. And so if you are here at North Little Rock serving in a capacity with kids in our community every day, you are going to be better off. You are who we want, and you are who we want to move up. Professional development in the Summer Leadership Institute. I just throw this in there because since Dr. Hooper came on board, and since Dr. Paluski, I mean, Dr. Hooper really came in and helped fine-tune our Leadership Institute, and it was just amazing. And you can speak to our leaders. I believe we had Miss McKinley up here 6 months or so ago that spoke to how much training and how involved and how much conversation and support she has received since we've implemented these types of things. We actually had 4 days last year. We had to move it to 5 because of the push with safety, security, everybody being on board, and us still be able to get our curriculum checks in with all of that. And then we've moved to a monthly principal and director meeting model where we meet as the whole family. So all the APs are either in the morning or the afternoon, and all the principals are the opposite. And so every department comes there, they're able to ask questions. We're going through all of those processes, what's coming up, getting them prepared for their building level meetings so that they can communicate accurately to their staff. And we just put everybody in a better place. This is what Dr. Paluski alluded to. We have scaled back over the 3 years that I've been in my position to the firmest date we can use. So we have a 30-day requirement for individuals to sign contracts. And so that is in policy. With that being said, we always get our contracts out now, 30 days before the end of school. So that provides us the opportunity to remind employees. That way they have it signed before they walk out the door, or they have communicated to us that they are not going to sign it. Then state law prescribes that you have to give individuals 10 days after the last day with students to rescind a contract. The last day for students was June 5th. So our last day to rescind a contract this year was June 15th. As I said, we communicate early and often this, so all employees are in the know, and we are very, very, what I consider firm and fair in regards to the treatment of this. We want to assign and monitor mentors to new teachers. As was discussed, one of the reasons individuals leave is because they are not properly supported, not only in that first year, but the first 3 years. You see an exodus at 1 year, and you see an exodus within those first 3 years as a novice teacher. So we have 2 now distinct departments that are going to provide support to those new teachers. Our school performance department will be involved with the assignments because they are the ones that are doing the evaluating, working with the principal, boots on the ground. This is a fit. This is like a marriage. I mean, you want an individual that is going to be able to grow somebody and strengthen them in ways that they are strong, but necessarily couldn't get from somebody else. This isn't an easy thing. We want to make sure that the fit is good. And then our curriculum department is going to support everybody in regards to all of that. And so they're going to teach the new common curriculum, the new assessments, all those different things, and we're going to make sure that support is nurtured from that level. Facilities. We have amazing facilities here at North Little Rock. We list the middle school and the administrative annex because Dr. Paluski has been very open that we feel as a leadership team, as a board, as all the discussions have transpired, that those are our areas of focus, and we would like to be able to eventually do something about the middle school and the administrative annex to make sure that we have a happy, healthy, safe place for all of our students, all of our staff to come and serve the community. And those are, like I said, probably our number 1s and 2s. Investments in our building leaders. Professional development, climate conversation with action steps. We are hyper aware. We meet weekly. We need good PD. We have that now with our school performance and our curriculum department. They are working every day in regards to those things, and the board receives all of the different tracking as far as where those departments are and the supports they're providing to our teachers and staff. And then the climate conversation. We are having those conversations as well. As I said, Dr. Paluski has trained us on transformational leadership, and we're going through the 8 steps. And this is a conversation we have with everybody. And so what to expect from that type of transformation is very similar from institution to institution. And you really have big rocks that you try to focus on every day. And as you focus on those big rocks, the little things change. And so you just stay true to the course, and you make sure that you are educating your mid-level managers to look and address for those same things that we're being taught, and we're all speaking the same language by the time you get done. Competitive pay. This was always an issue. We're not allowed to say that anymore. Not with LEARNs and the $50,000 increase. I think we're top 4 minimum salary. This year we did have to pivot with our salary schedule because of the nature of the way LEARNs came out and everything. We gave a $2,000 step to all our steps for our current employees, which gave us a maximum doctorate level teacher salary of $72,900 for a 190-day contract. On top of those values are the recruitment and retention stipend that I spoke about earlier, which is $6,000 over the course of 2 years. $1,500 a semester. This will be the second and final year of that as it sits. And then the 7th Street, if you went to work over there for the reorganization and transformation stipend, is $10,000 this year as well. So a starting teacher coming in this year with good attendance working at 7th Street under that model could start out at $63,000 for a first-year salary. To give the public before learns, $36,000 across the state of Arkansas was the minimum teacher salary. So that is almost a doubling based on where we were but a year ago.
And I pause you just for a second. So just for clarification, you said something about top 4. Are we top 4 within the state for the pay? Is that where? Yeah, help me.
No, ma'am. I believe we are top 4 as far as states across the United States as far as minimum teacher salary goes. I believe that was whenever Governor Sanders pushed it out, we now had the 4th highest minimum teacher salary.
Okay.
NLRSD on-site job fairs. This was something that did not transpire before Dr. Paluski and Dr. Hooper, and so we have put these into place for my department. We held 2 this year. We had a very good turnout for both, a good one for the June 21st, and we're able to attract individuals that are part of the community. They might not know about where to look for on our job board, things of that nature, but they see a flyer, they come, they need a job. It's one of those things that we do on-the-spot hiring. It's been very productive for the community, and I think especially for a lot of our classified positions, this has helped. We've had individuals that we've been able to hire on the spot and fill some of those struggling departments whenever they come to you guys and talk about minimum salary and corporate and all these different things. This has helped us from that perspective. Safe and healthy learning environment. Again, I come back to facilities. We do have safe and healthy facilities. We don't have we have a lot of new buildings across the district, which everybody is very, very proud of from our last building project. We also reorganized our safety services program. I know the board and Chief Finks spent an entire 2 board meetings talking about that. Chief Finks has received national recognition on this and was asked to come and speak. We get calls about Open Gate and all these different things that we are now implementing and using where other school districts and other entities want to model what North Little Rock is doing. We now have armed staff in all schools. This is something that, in my opinion, is great. We have walked through the processes to make sure these individuals are trained very, very well. Chief Finks goes through the extra layer of background checks and fitness for duty exams to make sure individuals are qualified and ready to take on that responsibility. But I think the community overall has been very supportive, and the board has been very supportive in regards to our reorganization of safety services with these aspects. And then, as I said, we have conversations weekly. One of the things we heard from the community, one of the things we heard from our teachers is that the fighting policy needed to be revamped. Mr. Logan and his department, he got here December, January, if my memory serves me correct. He took this on. He met with all the assistant principals. He met with some teacher subgroups, had conversations with individuals. We came up with something that is much more firm than what we have ever had, basically a one and done for all intensive purposes if the situation is correct, and it gives administrators the latitude to be very, very firm in regards to fighting. We're going to protect the classroom, we are going to protect our kiddos that are there doing right, and we are going to protect our staff.
Can you click on that by chance, Hunter, and that way we can have an opportunity to show the policy or kind of give a highlighted overview as far as what that policy is changing to, please, Jacob?
Yes, ma'am. This is a little outside
You're about
of
to
my
take some
box.
water. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So why don't we just go through it?
Okay.
Fighting or physical altercation of any nature will not be tolerated in NLRSD on school property or at school-sponsored events and activities. We are committed to ensuring that our students are safe and have an orderly instructional day to maximize learning. Any student who engages in physical altercation at any level can be considered for an immediate change in placement to their learning environment. So that's the piece. We are empowering our administrators to make decisions based on these types of situations, which I think is the way it should be. Since the NLRSD staff is committed to ensuring that all students are future ready, we will establish a return to school campus plan that will include but not be limited to weekly check-ins with the home school campus, weekly school counseling sessions, and a mandatory parent meeting to establish re-entry protocols for students. Counseling sessions may be with the school counselor or third-party outside agencies that provide services to students to help with conflict resolution and anger management. Fighting infractions will be investigated by building administrators, and a minimum of 2 administrators will investigate the fight to determine if the student is to be removed for a 9-week period. Students will be given a 3-day suspension while the investigation is completed, and at that time they will be given the option to complete their work virtually or make it up upon their return to the school campus.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
just know that, we listen to parents, and I mean, even with teachers and our building administrators, and heard the frustration as it relates to fighting. So therefore, since this is available online, parents, make sure that your students are aware of this again, and to make sure that they have a sense of a detailed understanding. What fighting will not be tolerated in schools this year, and hopefully here on out, you come to school to learn, not to settle your disagreements. If you have a disagreement, you need to figure out how you can handle that as it relates to maybe getting an adult involved or something like that. So we have to kind of go back to teaching, making sure that they know that this is what's tolerated and is what's expected of them.
Thank you for that. We also passed a new calendar with the support of the community, the staff, and the Board of Education, which provides more than 40 additional hours per school year for extended planning. This is going to be done at a building level, which there really has not been much of a mechanism for this, with the exception of 20, 30-minute meetings. And so we are giving a great chunk of time now every Wednesday for each building to meet as a whole family and establish norms, professional developments, protocols, really fit the needs of the teachers and each campus. Then the last thing is the reorganization of the Human Resources Department. So the Board of Education supported my reorganization as a phase 3, in which I am in the middle right now of doing that. This is going to be providing a more direct support directly to employees. Within that model and the discussion with the board, there's conversation that there's individuals from my department, once hired, will meet with each individual employee. We are going to make sure information is accurate. Anything that needs to be updated is updated. Any questions that need to be answered will be answered. But that is my 6-month goal once these individuals come on board, that we address each and every employee with a face-to-face meeting and personal service. The only other thing I heard during public comment is I would like to make the community and the board known as well that we are aware of our staffing situation. We are still hiring. We just got the whole family back. So the elementary principals started July 12th, and so they are picking up their hiring processes as well. We are monitoring this daily. And so, as Ms. Freeman, I believe, communicated, we are looking at all options to make sure each classroom has a certified, highly qualified educator in with our children, and they are learning from day one.
Okay, Mrs. Steele, do you have any questions?
Yes, just a couple of quick ones. A lot of information, good information. Go back to why teachers are leaving. Was that in any particular order?
No, sir, it wasn't. So my thesis is on organizational culture as it relates to teacher retention. And as I said whenever I communicated these, there is a bunch of different varying opinions because the data, in a sense, is qualitative. It's based on feelings and things of that nature. And so you have data that comes from Likert scales and things that are not as a mathematician, not necessarily just hard fact numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I strongly agree, things of that nature. And so these, in my opinion, are what comes and rises to the top. I think a lot of these fit what I see in my exit interviews with staff and things of that nature. And so while this might not be a catch-all, there are probably other opinions that can be offered. This is what rose to the top for me as the main themes.
Nobody mentioned safety.
I have not heard safety, sir, since the reorganization.
I would say prior to that, Mr. Steele, yes. Prior to, we heard that loud and clear probably when we first got here, because of the looseness of safety and security. In fact, I know last year, the following year, there were some teachers that we talked to specifically at the high school that were going to leave, and since the reorganization with that, have decided to stay, you know, open gate, just a variety of things. So I haven't heard it lately, but I think, yes, a couple years ago, yes.
Good. And my last question, on the program where you're going to utilize, I think, collegiate students in their final year of studies, bringing them over, I think that's innovative. I think that's forward thinking. I think that's good. I think one missing element, and I don't know how it can be implemented, but it really would be, I think, good if our retired teachers could be a part of that mentoring process. And I think, it's nothing like experience, and I think that's what a lot of our young educators lack. And I think if they can get that on the front end, I think it could make a world of difference. Thank you.
I agree, Mr. Steele. If I can just go back one as it relates to safety, let me correct my comment, because at the 7th and 8th grade campus, I would say, yes, as I've talked to teachers there, most of that stimulated from discipline, which would be safety. So I do want to correct that.
Yes, sir.
And that may fall under work conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And I viewed that as well. Whenever you just said that, discipline in my mind was separate than safety. We addressed the fighting. I had those conversations, but yes, we as the administration are hyper aware of the concerns of certain campuses in regards to the discipline aspect, and we're addressing those daily.
Thank you.
Ms. McLean?
Yes. What about exit interviews? Are we doing those currently, or will we be doing that more when we have extra personnel come in? Or
yes, ma'am. I do them as needed right now, and it's just me. And so I'm meeting with individuals as they have concerns or praises or things, or how would I be able to come back. I just had that conversation last night. Individual has to leave for personal purposes and wanted to know how they leave in good standing. How would they be able to come back once life gets a little more calm? And so all of those things are aspects that I'm wearing right now, but as my department grows and we fill those positions, there is a mechanism in place as a required exit interview through our software.
I'm going to give you an A+ for all this information you've put together.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
This is really good. Thank you.
Well, you just opened a fire hydrant full of information, and I pray that those that are here are listening. And I pray that you're paying attention. And I really hope that you parents help us make a difference within our school district.
Dr.
Great information. I have nothing.
Good information and timely. Appreciate that. But I just want to point out there's a whole lot of work that's been going on to get us to this place, and a lot of people doing it, and I just appreciate all the work that's gone into this. Thank you.
Ms. West?
I don't necessarily have any questions, but maybe a clarification point as far as on slide number 11. The next to the last one, extended planning time, 40 plus additional hours per school year. 40 plus, I guess that's minutes, not hours. I'm sorry. Additional, wait a minute, 40 plus additional hours per school year. Okay. So this, when we originally, I'm just making sure I'm correct with the two of you. when we originally talked about the early release on Wednesdays, they gave teachers an extra 2 hours per day, correct? I mean,
No, ma'am. We bank 80 hours, or 80 hours. We bank 80 minutes a week over the required 30 hours. And so we do 6 hours of instruction a day, and so we do 80 minutes over the top of that. That time is our banked time that we can use. So that's an hour and 20 minutes a week. We are 4 9-week school schedule. So 2 of those weeks are finals weeks, so we don't do those that week. And so it works out to about 45 hours, I think, that we bank and get to use for additional teacher planning.
Okay, I got you. And then, so with that being said, with the LEARNS Act coming on, then we already are in compliance with the amount of time that we need, right?
There is a separate state law outside of the bounds of LEARNS that governs the instructional day. And so, you know, the calendars that we looked at, that is where you would find those different options. And of course, we will immediately start having the calendar conversation again once everybody gets back on staff. And so I will again present that to the board as far as what options are available going forward in our LEARNS education world.
Okay. So, but we are in compliance as far as time frames.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got you.
Thank
Thank you.
Question. Teacher safety, excuse me, please. When we were in this conference over the weekend, they showed what kind of training will the teachers get, how to get out of the classroom, and what they're supposed to do if there is an issue that's of danger. They showed yesterday how teachers were showing the kids maybe get down under your desk. We have an area you put something by the doors. And so I guess what I'm asking you, I did not hear it, but are teachers going to get this kind of training for their classes, senior high, from pre-K on up? Because I didn't hear you say that in your report.
So yes, ma'am. So 2 of our days of our Learning Institute were devoted to safety and security. And at those days, Chief Finks's people not only came and did personalized training, but we discussed our crisis plans at each school. And so those have been developed. They have been discussed at the building leadership level. And that information is going to be delivered in a train-the-trainer model where they go back and train their staff on what the expectations, rules of the game, as issues transpire, what we need to do in those things.
So, I was saying, you know how we used to have a fire drill?
Yes.
There's nowhere to go?
Yes, ma'am.
And if this is a different generation, a different time, 21st century, that these children will, will actually have the experience of going through that training. That's what I was asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to follow up on that.
There's nothing else.
Just to follow up on that, Ms. Williams, you know the first workshop in August, we do a back-to-school report. And so part of that, Chief will talk about everything that he and his staff have done to open schools successfully and training. You'll get all that information in detail in just a few weeks.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Smith, for the report. Very nice. You
Yes,
didn't miss
ma'am.
anything.
Ms. Williams, may I say one thing, just to end this on a positive note and to announce to the public? I just heard today from ADE that we've been approved for partnership funding for a new middle school.
Oh!
So, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $22 million. So I just want to let the public know that. We'll be coming back as soon as we know more information, and we'll have an update as it relates to our facility priorities and to be able to move forward. So just some very positive news that we wanted to share. I think that everybody agrees that's much needed in our community.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yes,
And
That
thank
is
you.
great.
You did make a report last week, though. You made one statement that you had done something to an Old Main High School, and it was over. You said you had done some work or something to it? The Old Main facility?
As it relates to the long-term vision or what we've projected about potentially,
Yeah, it was
we'll bring all that back to the board and
Okay.
you know, and talk about next steps now that we know we have partnership funding. What's it all going to look like? How do we get to from where we are today to actually beginning to build a new school.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Dr. Pulaski, we are now down to the action item, new business.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, action item 12.1 is the employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
I so move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation of 12.1. Employee and
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation from the superintendent on the employment of personnel. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of our Board of Education, action item 12.2 is the Rock Region Metro Fair Agreement. The superintendent recommends the Rock Region Metro Fair Agreement as discussed in open session.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the Rock Region Metro Fair Agreement.
happily second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the proposed recommendation from the superintendent for the Rock Region Metro Fair Agreement. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of our Board of Education, action item 12.3, the North Little Rock School District Superintendent Annual Performance Goals for 2023. The superintendent recommends the proposed goals as discussed in open session at our last board workshop.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the superintendent annual performance goals for 2023.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. We accept the superintendent's proposed goals for the year of 2020, goals for 2023. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. Members of our Board of Education, welcome back our colleague. The next action item is 12.4. This is a draft Arkansas Aspiring Teacher Permit Resolution. This, you heard Mr. Smith talk about this in his presentation. He'll go through some details of, use Mr. Steele's terms, an innovative approach.
Absolutely. So just for the board's and the public's information, the Arkansas Aspiring Teacher Permit will be available August 1, as discussed, and so we are being proactive as a district to be able to track individuals as the teacher of record from these institutions of higher ed. What the ask is that we are able to place Arkansas Aspiring Teacher Permit holders on the licensed teacher salary schedule as garnered by their experience. And so in order to hire and retain our experienced educators, the individuals that are acquiring the Arkansas Aspiring Teacher Permit have to meet the following qualifications. Cleared background check, meets all requirements for an internship residency at the institution of higher ed. The institution of higher ed must have an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding or Support Plan signed with the housing district, passing scores on all content assessments required for their particular licensure, recommended for employment as the teacher of record in an appropriate licensure area by the district, and the district must assign a mentor teacher. So this is very much a partnership. I told you, Dr. Redis, it's Act 732 as passed on April 12, 2023. Are there any questions?
No questions, Madam President. We may want to eliminate the word draft on it before we approve it. I think it could be done in the motion.
Sure.
If not, then
Whatever.
you're approving a draft.
Make the motion. Make the motion.
Yep, go ahead.
I move that the Arkansas Aspiring Teachers Permit Resolution pass.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. Are we saying to remove the word draft
Yes, ma'am.
at this time? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried. Now we will complete with the aspiring teachers. May I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the aspiring teacher permit resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation of aspiring teacher permit resolution document that you'll find on 501 KB. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. The next action item is Act 1240 waiver request. This is, if you recall, that each school district had to have a digital learning plan, the Ready to Learn plan, because to be able to go virtual and all that. Within that plan, once it was approved by ADE, there were waivers for certain things if a child was virtual. The State Department is no longer requires a digital learning plan. However, remember, we do still have virtual learning. And so what this waiver asks for is still some of those things that we would have to waive. From this point, we would simply, if a recommendation to approve it, then it would go to the State Department of Education. All school districts across Arkansas, if they have a virtual program, have to ask for a waiver, which is basically the summary of the yellow sheet.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the Act 1240 waiver request.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept Act 1240, the waiver request. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. Action item 12.6, 2023-2024 insurance renewal.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the 2023-2024 insurance renewal.
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we accept the 2023-2024 insurance renewal. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. The next action item is 12.7, legal transfer. Superintendent recommends the legal transfer as provided to the Board of Education.
Madam
President,
Yes.
you want it, Angel?
Go on. You go on.
Okay, it has been moved and properly second that we accept.
Not yet. Hang on. We were arguing over it. We're okay. Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the legal transfer.
Okay.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the legal transfer. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I so move that we accept action item 12.8, the disposition of regular minutes from June 15th, 12.9 minutes from July the 6th, and 12.10 minutes from July the 11th.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the disposition of the minutes from June 15th, July 6th, July 11th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried. Thank you. Consent agenda, Dr. Pulaski.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the approval of the consent agenda item, consisting of item 13.1, bank reconciliation, 13.2, net legal balance worksheet, 13.3, monthly financial reports, 13.4, business office items, 13.5, payment of regular bills, 13.6, facility use request.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I so move that we accept 13.1 through 13.7.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept
Got to name
the
them all. Go
superintendent's
ahead, Mom.
consent agenda 13.1 through 13.7. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The parliamentary.
Question?
You got to name them all.
You have to name them all.
Oh, you have to name them all. I thought you said don't name them all. I was like, I didn't.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
13.1
got it.
reconciliation, 13.2 net legal balance worksheet, 13.3 monthly financial reports, 13.4 business office items, 13.5 payment of regular bills because we need lights, and 13.6 facilities use request, and 13.7 approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we accept for the consent agenda 13.1 through 13.7. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None, so the motion is carried. At this time, we will have acknowledgments. Dr. Steele, do you have anything this evening you would like to acknowledge?
No, not specifically. In general, just looking forward to a new school year already. Just makes me wonder what happened to summer. It seemed like we never really got a break, but I'm ready. I think we're ready. I think North Little Rock is going to excel and do great things. And congratulations to all those who come aboard and all those who are coming aboard.
Ms. McLean?
Well, since we are about to end this meeting, I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of the sessions that we had that closed out our meeting in Hot Springs. And the speaker that we had, you know how you go sometimes, maybe it's church or a meeting that you've gone and there's a special speaker there and you're like, oh my gosh, they're talking straight to me. You know, why? How do they know about my life? How do they know what's going on? But our closing speaker talked about attitude and keeping positive attitudes and the amazing kind of things that you can do in that type of environment, and that how schools face hard times, especially in this day and age. But we have to remember our why, and why are we here? We're here for the children. So I just thought that was a great way for the speaker to send us home with those thoughts, and I'd just like to end my little speech right here tonight by hoping that we're all going to keep positive attitudes and focus on our children this year.
Great.
Student focused. That's what we, the board members, are. We're student focused.
Okay. Dr. Redis?
I just want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. It's been a while since we've had a meeting where all the seats were filled. And so thank you to the community and everyone for coming out.
And that's what I was going to say. Thank you for sharing your opinions. We really do want to hear from you and give us a chance to work on those things that we may not know anything about. Thank you for coming and sharing.
Yes, thank you for coming out, and thank you to those that have reached out. Some emails and conversations were a little spicy, but that's okay. You know, everybody has a common goal in mind, and that is, you know, making sure that each child is taken care of. We want to make sure that we have good teachers in the classroom. I've said it once, I've said it, you know, a million times. I'm a product of a school teacher, and I've seen what that looks like. And I, you know, always say whatever I can do to help, I will try to do my best. And even though my father was career military, he had a degree in secondary education and political science. So education is definitely in my family. You know, we're always a phone call, email away. And, you know, I look forward to reading to some more classes this year. And whatever I need to do to help out, I'm there to help.
Thank you very much. You've heard the board's acknowledgments of everybody. And again, we want to say to you, we're so grateful to have you in our district. Thank you for all of you that have stayed with us, all of you new persons that are sitting out there. Some of you parents, the gentleman who sits on the front row when he comes, we thank you from 7th Street Elementary. We thank you for your voice. And I'm saying every school board meeting, you have a privilege. You are the stakeholders to come before the board to discuss whatever you want to. And we in terms may not be able to address it tonight, but whenever you come back, we would have had the opportunity to address what your concerns are. So grateful for Dr. Paluski, we are. North Rock School District is on the move. The Arkansas School Board Association brag on this board. You know why? You know why we got the award? We were concerned about the education of our children in the North Rock School District. We want them to have the best, be the best, have the best teachers, best administrators, and the best board with common sense. And by the way, so you hadn't noticed, this board is like a family. We love each other, we communicate with each other, and that's how schools are able to move with positive board members who got energy, who respect each other. You may disagree, but you still agree, but you don't do it in anger. You do it in love. So I want to say to all of you out there, come back and see us. We get tired of the empty seats up in here, okay? We love it. We love you. And again, thank you, all you administrators and Kathy Hale out there. She is phenomenal. I want to thank you, Kathy Hale, Mr. Brown, Dr. Stovall, Jacob, and above all, our deputy superintendent back there. And I got Dr. Yates back there in the back, sitting with Lightfoot, and all of you principals that are in here, and all of you other administrators. We thank you. Thank you for your services. And that lady here to represent the AEA, she be here every week. And it's all right, but we don't need you. We're doing everything right. Okay. If there's nothing more.
Madam President.
Future meetings, Dr. P, future meetings.
Yes, our next meeting, unless due to staffing we have to have a special meeting, but our next meeting will be, I believe it's August the 3rd. That'll be our workshop, and just to remind everybody, that will be a bigger one that's focused on all of our back to school, everything we've been doing to open schools successfully.
Wait a minute, I have to do "We Are a Family." That's our song.
Okay.
Madam President, I move we adjourn.
Our meeting is adjourned.